Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Uthman ibn Sa'id al-Amri, the second emissary, is approached by that man. His name was Abu Abdullah. Abu Abdullah said to him, I would love to meet my Imam. Is there any way? Is there any access? Can you give me an address? And sometimes we all feel that way, right? Especially when we see the suffering that's happening around the world, when the followers of the Ahlulbayt are subjected to persecution, to death, to carnage, to murder, whether it be in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, wherever it is, you tend to reach deep down and ultimately think, well, we have a master, we have an Imam. How can we see him? How can we access him? And that's a good thing, as evidenced by this hadith. Because Abu Ja'far, Muhammad ibn Uthman, says to him, he says, do you really yearn to meet your Imam? He said, yes, I do, by God. He said, Jazakallahu khayran. May Allah bless you and reward you for the desire to meet the Imam of your time. However, لا تلتمسن رؤيته ولا تطلبن الاجتماع به. Do not insist on meeting him in person. ولكن زره. Instead of trying to meet him in person, perform his ziyarah, perform his visitation. Send your peace and salutations upon him in his absence. Read Ziyarat al-Yasin. Read Dua al-Ahad. Read Dua Nudba. Read Dua al-Samat. Read all of the Dua al-Iftitah. By the way, almost all these supplications have been narrated by the 4 deputies of Imam al-Zaman. Dua al-Iftitah that you recite in the month of Ramadan is narrated by the deputies of the Imam, from the Imam, as well as Dua Nudba and others. Do his ziyarah, because the process of ziyarah, the process of remembering Imam al-Zaman, the process of trying to connect with Imam al-Zaman solidifies that faith, so that when he does arrive, we don't tell him to go back where he came from. And that's critical, brothers and sisters. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, Inna lana dawlatan taji'u idha sha'Allah. We will get a chance to rule this world. The Imams of the Ahlulbayt will get a chance to give the world, to give humanity a glimpse of divine justice and compassion and kindness one day. When God allows that to happen, it will happen. Just wait. Then the Imam says, so if you wish to be accepted and to be taken as true followers of this path, then you should do this. فَلْيَنْتَظِرْ وَلْيَعْمَلْ بِالْوَرَعِ وَمَحَاسِنِ الْأَخْلَاقِ وَهُوَ مُنْتَظِرْ. Listen to this statement, examine it carefully. The Imam says, first of all, you should wait in anticipation of the Imam's return. Actively wait for him to come back. Then the Imam says, وَلْيَعْمَلْ بِالْوَرَعِ. You should guard yourself against sin. Avoid any and all sins, because every single sin, brothers and sisters, is an erroneous social norm, is another arrow in your heart that might push you off the edge, God forbid, into the group of people that says to Imam al-Zaman, go back to where you came from. Imagine, just think of sins like that. That every sin could potentially push you into that camp. That despite believing in him, despite saying we're waiting for him, what if he comes back and we tell him, you know what, I'm better off without you. I want to live this way that I've been living all this time. I don't want to change anything. That's why I said the other night, brothers and sisters, we're just not ready. We're not ready. They say they came to a alim and they told him, what if you find out that in a week's time you're going to die? What will you do? Like, what are you going to change about the way you go about your life and whatnot? He said, I will do exactly what I've been doing for the last 40 years. I'll still go to class. I'll still look after my family. I'll still do this. I won't change a thing, because I've been preparing for this day for 40 years. I don't have to change anything in the last week of my life. If we're told that Imam al-Zaman is coming tomorrow, would we have to make any changes and adjustments? If we do, then we're not ready. If we do, then there's something wrong. If we do, we're not doing what Imam Sadiq says we should be doing, which is to wait. Wait means getting ready. It's like when somebody says to you, you have to, in order to fly, in order to board an aircraft, you have to be at the airport 3 hours prior to departure. What you do at the airport is literally nothing but wait. Once you get there, you check in, you go to the lounge or to the terminal or whatever, you wait there for the next 2 hours. But that waiting is very different from the 2 hours of waiting you might do at home. Because if you wait it out at home, you're going to miss your flight. But if you wait at the airport, having prepared everything and having checked in and having done everything you're supposed to do, you're going to definitely board the flight at the end of the day. If the flight is delayed by 2 hours, that's fine. You wait a little longer, but eventually you'll board it. By waiting for Imam al-Zaman, we're talking about preparing for him, then waiting for him. Not waiting at home, not waiting in the sense that, oh, one day it's going to happen. So then Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, you have to wait, guard yourself against sin, apply moral lessons in your life. وَلْيَعْمَلْ بِمَحَاسِنِ الْأَخْلَاقِ. Present yourself to your, first and foremost, to your family, to your parents, to your siblings, to your children, to your husband, to your spouse, as well as the larger community and society around you, in the most impeccable manner, with the highest akhlaq. وَهُوَ مُنْتَظِرٌ. While you still wait. In other words, Imam Sadiq mentions intidhar twice in one sentence, before and after. So there's an emphasis on waiting and anticipating. Then he says, if you do this, and you die before the Imam comes, كَانَ لَهُ كَأَجْرِ مَنْ أَدْرَكَهُ. You will get the same reward as those who waited until the Imam came and they joined him. Then the Imam says, فَهَنِيئًا لَكُمْ أَيَّتُهَا الْعَصَابَةُ الْمَرْحُومَةُ. Bless you, O group that has received the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's enshrouded by the compassion of God. Because if you apply these teachings, then you receive God's blessing. Now, this means, brothers and sisters, waiting in anticipation, being vigilant at all times. A classic example that I always cite, because I've been through this a couple of times, is when you go to the train station and you're waiting. I don't know if you have trains here, but you go to the train station and you're waiting there for like, say 20 minutes, for example. Then suddenly you get a phone call at the last minute. You pick up the phone, you're talking to someone, the train comes and goes and you miss it. And then that's another hour of waiting for the next train. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that person who's waiting and waiting, but then because of one distraction, because of one sin, because of one relationship, because of one problem, one fire that we light between us and our parents or our siblings or the people around us, God forbid, we might be distracted and miss the train. You don't want to miss that train. Not that train.